My fiancé said the honeymoon budget was too much. So why did I see a PayPal notification, $5,700 sent to a man named Babe Vegas? I canceled everything, then sent one polite email. Her job called her in the next morning for a meeting. My name's Zach, I'm 32, and I thought I was going to marry the love of my life in exactly 3 weeks. Instead, I found myself sitting in my dark apartment at 2:13 a.m., rereading a PayPal notification like it had personally slapped me. $5,700 sent to Babe Vegas. That wasn't the name of a vendor. That wasn't the name of our photographer. That wasn't the name of anything that had to do with our wedding. And the note? Can't wait to see you this weekend. Let me back up. Emma and I had been together for a little over 4 years. We met the way so many people do, through mutual friends at a dinner party, back when I had just moved to Atlanta for a promotion at my firm. She had this laugh that cut through the room and hooked you before you even turned your head. A voice you could pick out in a crowd, but never got tired of hearing. That night, she wore a wine-red dress and a smirk like she knew something no one else did. 3 months later, we moved in together. A year after that, we signed on a little starter condo just outside the city. She worked in marketing for a major apparel company, climbing fast, always talking about campaigns and creative pitches. I liked her drive. I liked how she made things feel electric. Even the dull parts of life, laundry days, Monday mornings, grocery runs, felt alive with her. So when I proposed last spring, it wasn't some grand surprise. We'd already talked about getting married, about kids, about splitting holidays and putting off home renovations to save for a bigger honeymoon. We were aligned on almost everything. Or so I thought. The first time I felt something shift, it was subtle, like the kind of tension you only notice once the storm is already overhead. She started pulling back, just a little. Her phone habits changed. Used to be she'd leave it face up on the counter. Lately, face down, or always in her pocket. Her laughter grew shorter, thinner. She got irritated by the smallest things, me leaving dishes in the sink, the way I folded towels, the tone in my emails. Then came the money talk. Now, Emma made more than I did. And I don't say that with bitterness. I was proud of her. But she suddenly decided that our honeymoon plans were unrealistic. We had a trip to Italy in the works, booked early, affordable, nothing lavish. She insisted we cancel it, said it was too expensive, and would put us behind, even though we'd budgeted for months and paid off almost everything in advance. I remember her exact words that night. Let's be smart. Do something small. Save the big stuff for later. It wasn't a fight, just a moment that left a weird taste in my mouth. She wasn't asking. She was telling, like she'd already made the decision and just needed me to nod along. So we scaled back. She picked a cheaper destination wedding package. We downgraded the photographer, shrank the guest list. She even told my aunt to please stick to the registry when she offered to pay for Emma's dress. And me? I tried to let it go. Told myself this was stress, pressure, that maybe I was being paranoid. Until that notification hit my phone. $5,700. Gone. Out of our shared savings. The one we'd built together for the wedding and honeymoon. I don't know what possessed me to check my email at that hour. I hadn't even been sleeping. Just lying awake, thinking about vendor deposits, watching the fan spin overhead. Then ding. PayPal transaction alert. At first I thought it was fraud. A hack, maybe. But when I clicked the link and opened the details, the truth was so blatant, so naked, that it felt offensive. The recipient was listed as Tyler D. I won't use his full name. But underneath it, bold and clear, was the username, Babe Vegas. And the message? Can't wait to see you this weekend. Emma was sleeping just 10 feet away. I stared at her across the dark room, breathing soft under the blanket, one arm stretched out toward the empty space on my side of the bed. I didn't say a word, didn't wake her, didn't yell. I just stared. Then, quietly, I got up, opened my laptop, logged into our airline booking account, checked the original flight dates. And guess what? She had canceled our honeymoon flight 3 days ago. But 2 hours after that cancellation, she booked a round-trip ticket to Las Vegas. Under her maiden name. I sat back in my chair, blinking at the screen. I wasn't sad. Not yet. Not really. I was calculating, reconstructing the timeline. Emma had told me she was meeting her cousin for a bachelorette spa weekend before the wedding, that it was last minute and super casual. I hadn't thought twice. Her cousin, Clara, was loud and impulsive and definitely the type to throw a surprise weekend thing. But now I knew. Clara wasn't going. She was just cover. Emma was flying out to see her ex, a man who called himself Babe Vegas, a man I'd never heard of until 30 minutes ago, a man who was apparently important enough to send $5,000 and a kiss emoji at 2 a.m. I took a deep breath, and then I opened a new tab. No rage. No drama. I canceled the honeymoon booking entirely. Sent an email to the venue coordinator asking to pause all final prep. Called my bank and froze the remaining funds in our shared account. Then I drafted one email. Just one. Simple. Polite. Cold. Hi. I believe an employee may have used work devices and funds for a personal, out-of-state trip. I've attached relevant screenshots. I hope this reaches the appropriate department. Attached. A photo of the PayPal transfer, the Vegas flight confirmation, and a screen grab of her Slack conversation with Tyler D. that I pulled from her laptop's desktop app. Yes, she forgot to log out. Then I sent it to her company's HR address. And I went back to bed. Not to sleep, just to wait. Because in 5 hours, her alarm would go off. And she would wake up to a very different life than the one she fell asleep in. Emma's alarm went off at 7 a.m., like always. She groaned, stretched her arm across the bed, then froze. She noticed the missing warmth. I wasn't beside her. Instead, I was in the kitchen, calmly pouring coffee, already showered, dressed, and ready for the day. She came out rubbing her eyes and yawning like it was any other Thursday. I didn't say anything. She blinked at me. Hey, what are you doing up already? I shrugged, sipped my coffee. Just had some stuff to handle. She smiled. Well, you're not going to believe this. HR texted me. They said I need to come in early. Something about a meeting. Totally random. I nodded. That's so. She started checking her phone, mumbling about coffee, opening apps. I watched her face as she realized the honeymoon flights were gone. Her eyes darted. Then she opened her banking app. Boom. That was the moment she froze. Right there in the doorway. Like time slowed down. Her finger hovered. She refreshed the screen twice. Then looked up at me. Zach, did you touch our account? I took another sip of coffee. Nope. Just froze it. She set the phone down slowly. Why? I waited a second. Then asked, in the calmest voice I could manage. Who the hell is Tyler? I wish I could describe her face. Panic. Confusion. Anger. All mashed into one expression. Like her brain couldn't figure out which emotion would get her out of this. What? Who's Tyler? I tilted my head. Babe Vegas. That ring any bells? She blinked fast, started shaking her head. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I walked over to the counter and slid my phone across to her. The PayPal notification was still open, and right under it, the hotel booking, her flight confirmation, the Slack screenshot with his name and her message. Just say when and where I've got the funds covered. Emma went dead silent. I didn't speak. I didn't yell. I just let the silence do the work. After a few seconds, she slammed her hand down on the counter and hissed. You went through my stuff? That was her defense. Not denial. Not explanation. Just outrage. I let out a soft laugh. You wired nearly $6,000 to your ex and booked a Vegas trip under a fake name. But yeah, sure, let's talk about privacy. She looked like she wanted to scream. But then her phone rang. It was her company. I just stood there and watched her answer. Hi. Yes, I saw the message. No, I haven't opened my email yet. What? A formal complaint? No, that can't be. She paused, walked into the other room, but I still heard the tone shift in her voice. They'd seen the screenshots. HR wasn't inviting her in. They were summoning her. She was shaking by the time she hung up. Did you send that to my work? She asked, voice suddenly small. I looked her right in the eyes. I did. She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. She just stood there, stunned, pale. The mask was off. This wasn't going to be salvaged with apologies or spin. She knew it. I knew it. She grabbed her coat and walked out the door without saying another word. The moment the door closed, I felt something shift inside me. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Just clarity. I opened my laptop and started the second wave. First, I pulled up our wedding coordinator's contact sheet. I canceled the reception venue and asked them to halt everything pending a personal emergency. They were kind. Professional. Said they'd get back to me with refund policies. Next, I contacted the photographer, caterer, DJ, and florist. Cancellations across the board. Every single one. Then came the part that felt surreal. I boxed up her wedding dress. It had arrived early, delivered to my name, still in its garment bag. She didn't know I'd seen it yet. I wrote a note and placed it on top. You'll want this back. I'm sure you'll find another occasion soon. Then I taped the box shut. The ring? That took a little more thought. We'd picked it together. White gold, subtle, engraved with a dumb inside joke she'd once told me on our second date. No olives, it said. Don't ask. I wasn't going to keep it. So I sent it to her dad. Yes, her father. The man who always side-eyed me like I wasn't good enough. Who once joked that he hoped she'd marry up someday. I wrote one sentence on the shipping label. Ask her what happened in Vegas. Then I dropped it at the UPS store and walked out without looking back. That night, she didn't come home. I didn't expect her to, but she did text me. 8 times. We need to talk. I messed up, okay? Please don't ruin my life. It was a mistake. I didn't reply, because at that point, it was already out of my hands. She'd set everything in motion the moment she sent that money, and I wasn't going to stop the fallout. I didn't hear from Emma the next day. No text, no call, nothing. But her sister called me, which was strange, because Emma's family and I were never exactly close. Her dad treated me like a temporary rental, and her sister, Hannah, used to roll her eyes every time we talked about wedding plans. So when my phone buzzed at noon and her name popped up, I was already on edge. I picked up, and Hannah, voice shaky, said one sentence. "What the hell is going on with Emma?" I didn't answer immediately. Then she added, "She's at my apartment right now, crying, panicking. She just said she might lose her job and that you sent something to her HR." I took a breath. Calm, collected. Ask her about Tyler. The line went silent. Then, Tyler who? So I told her. The Vegas trip, the money transfer, the fake booking under her maiden name, the kissy face emoji, all of it. And as I kept talking, Hannah's tone shifted. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't defensive. She just sighed. "I knew she was hiding something," she said. "But I didn't know it was that." Emma's meeting with HR didn't last 30 minutes. It lasted 4 hours. I only know that because her company called to confirm her travel receipts. Turns out she had used her work laptop and corporate card to book part of the Vegas trip. A mistake I didn't even catch, but their internal system did. I told them I had no comment. Meanwhile, Emma was still at her sister's apartment trying to do damage control. I got another text from her that night. "You didn't have to destroy me like this." Destroy her? Let's talk about that. Because I had kept quiet about one thing. A screenshot I hadn't shared with anyone yet. The Slack chat she left open on her desktop, between her and Tyler, and the exact message she sent him for days before our wedding invites went out. "He's a safe bet, but you're my real life." That sentence looped in my brain for hours. Safe bet. Safe bet. That's what I was to her. Not a partner. Not a friend. Not a future. Just a financial cushion. A plan B with a steady paycheck and a joint savings account. But this wasn't just about me. Emma's job was already hanging by a thread. The company started an ethics investigation. Someone from legal requested clarification about the dates of travel. I didn't send them any more documents, but I didn't need to. She had left enough of a trail on her own. I finally heard from one of our mutual friends, Jenna, who had been invited to the wedding. She asked me if the ceremony was still happening. I told her no. I didn't give her the details. But later that night, she sent me a screenshot. It was a group chat. Emma's bridal party. They were talking behind my back. One message, from her cousin Amanda, said, "He won't figure it out. He's too nice. Honestly, I think Emma deserves a little fun." Another from Emma herself said, "He'd never survive in Vegas. Too soft." Jenna had sent it with one line underneath. "I didn't know it was this bad. I'm so sorry." Now things were beginning to make sense. The sudden coldness, the cost-cutting excuses, the bachelorette spa weekend cover, the attitude every time I brought up the future. She was never planning to stay. She just didn't want to lose the wedding gifts, or the money, or the perception of being the loyal fiancé while she was still deciding. That's what stung most. Not the betrayal itself, but how calculated it was. This wasn't a one-night mistake. It was a long, slow performance. And I was the idiot clapping in the front row. I forwarded the group chat screenshots to her company. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. If her coworkers were going to decide whether she could be trusted, they deserved the full picture. 2 days later, I got a short reply from HR. "Thank you. We consider the matter closed on your end." No apology. No drama. Just a quiet statement that said everything. Emma, she tried one last time. She came to the apartment while I was out. Left a handwritten note under the door. "Please. One conversation. Just tell me what I need to do to fix this." I didn't write back. Because you can't rebuild something that was never real to begin with. It was around 8:45 on a Sunday morning when I got a text from Emma's mom. That alone was jarring enough. We hadn't spoken much over the years. She always treated me politely, never cold, never warm. But now, her message simply said, "Is it true?" No context. No greeting. Just those 3 words. I stared at the screen for a while, wondering what Emma had told her. Then I decided to reply with the same energy Emma had used when she wired $5,000 to another man. I forwarded the PayPal receipt, the Slack messages, and the screenshot of Emma's bridal party chat, including the one where she called me too soft to survive Vegas. 5 minutes later, I got a Venmo notification. It was from her mother. $200. The note just said, "You didn't deserve that." No apology. No explanation. Just quiet acknowledgement. I didn't touch the money. I left it sitting in my account like some strange artifact from a life that was already collapsing. A few hours later, I received another message, this time from Emma's aunt. She had been on the guest list and was supposed to sing at our wedding. She asked why the venue had canceled. I didn't tell her the full story, but I said the wedding wasn't happening anymore. I expected confusion or anger. Instead, she responded, "I'm relieved. I had a feeling something wasn't right." That word, relieved, hit harder than I expected. It made me realize something I had been trying to avoid. People knew. Maybe not the full truth, but enough. Enough to feel something was off. Enough to see cracks I had been too close to notice. I wasn't just blindsided. I was willingly blind. The next few days were quiet. Emma had stopped texting. HR had stopped following up. And my apartment, for the first time in years, felt like a stranger's space. I found myself walking around with this strange emptiness in my chest. Not pain exactly. Not rage. It was more like something had been scooped out of me. I went to work, answered emails, nodded in meetings, and kept my camera off during Zoom calls. At lunch, I stared at my food like it wasn't real. I wasn't sleeping well. Every night, I'd lie in bed, hearing echoes of old conversations, wondering how much of them had been rehearsed. Eventually, I realized I needed help. So I started seeing a therapist. I told her everything. From the proposal to the PayPal transfer to the final note Emma had left under my door. The therapist listened without judgment. She didn't offer grand advice. She just said one thing that stuck with me. "You didn't lose a partner. You dodged a performance." That line stayed with me, because that's exactly what it had been. Emma had been acting. For months. Maybe longer. Pretending. Smiling. Planning. All while calculating how long she could keep the image intact before cashing out. But just when I thought the worst had passed, a new message arrived. One that pulled the curtain back even further. It was from a guy named John. We weren't close. Just a co-worker of Emma's I'd met once at a company mixer. He messaged me on Facebook, of all places. The message said, "Hey Zach, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but there's something you should see." Attached was a screenshot of a group chat between Emma and some of her co-workers. They weren't just gossiping. They were plotting. One message from Emma read, "If this blows up, I'll just say Zach's controlling and paranoid. It won't be hard to spin. He's quiet. People will believe it." Another, "If I lose the job, Tyler said I can come to Vegas full-time. I'll be okay." She had a contingency plan. Not just for me, but for her reputation, for her finances, for the public version of herself. She was ready to burn everything down as long as she looked like the victim in the ashes. I thanked John for sending the screenshots. He told me he had debated for days whether to get involved, but his conscience wouldn't let him stay silent. I told him he did the right thing. And that night, I sent one final email to her company's ethics committee, attaching the group chat messages. I didn't add commentary. I let her own words speak for themselves. I didn't hear back. Not right away. But I didn't need to. Because the next morning, one of her coworkers posted something on LinkedIn that caught my attention. "Be careful who you lie to. Some people are quieter than you think, until they aren't." No names. No context. But I knew. Everyone was starting to put the pieces together. By the end of the week, Emma had gone dark on social media. Her Instagram disappeared. Her Twitter was locked. And her name was quietly removed from her company's website under the marketing leadership section. There were no announcements. No explanations. Just absence. As for me, I started reclaiming my life piece by piece. I deleted the wedding planning apps. Canceled all shared accounts. Returned every unopened wedding gift. I even reached out to my airline to ask about a flight voucher in my name. And one afternoon, I boxed up the last of Emma's things, old sweatshirts, photos, notebooks, and placed them on the porch. I didn't call her. Didn't tell her to pick them up. Just let the wind take care of it. Because there was nothing left to talk about. I thought I had seen everything. But then I got a message from someone I truly didn't expect. Clara, Emma's cousin. The same one who was supposedly planning that spa weekend in Vegas. Her message was short, but it came with a file. "I don't want to be part of her lies anymore. You should know what really happened." Inside the file was a screenshot of a face, dated O.T. This wasn't a recent mistake. It had been going on the WH. Clara explained that Emma had reconnected with Tyler during a girls' trip the year before. They'd stayed in touch, secretly at first, but it escalated. Every time Emma claimed she had a work event or client dinner, she was either messaging him or meeting him in person. And that spa weekend she told me about, it had never included Clara. That was entirely fabricated. I sat there, just reading the message over and over, realizing that Emma had planned this double life long before I ever proposed. The wedding was never her final chapter. It was just her safety net, a placeholder until Tyler gave her the green light. Clara ended her message with this. "She's always been like this. She doesn't know how to live without a backup plan." It hit me like a punch to the chest. Everything made sense now. The sudden coldness, the budget cuts, her reluctance to plan the honeymoon. She had already checked out. She wasn't confused. She was transitioning. She didn't want a husband. She wanted a parachute. A few days later, I got a phone call from Jenna, the friend who had shown me the group chat. She told me Tyler had blocked Emma after things blew up at her job. Apparently, once he realized she was unemployed and no longer had the security of a corporate credit card, he backed off. Emma had risked everything. Our engagement, her career, her reputation, for a man who walked away the second things got difficult. The irony? She ended up exactly where she didn't want to be, alone and without a plan B. I didn't respond to Clara or Jenna after that. There was nothing else to process. The story was complete. The only thing left to do was move on. A week passed. Then two. Emma had completely vanished from the internet. No posts. No updates. Her LinkedIn quietly disappeared. I hadn't heard from her since the day she left that note under my door. Until she called, from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Her voice sounded raw, like she'd been crying for hours. "Zach, please. I know I hurt you, but everything's falling apart. I lost my job. My dad won't even talk to me. I need someone. I need you. Please." She didn't apologize. She didn't own anything. She just needed something again. But I didn't need anything from her. So I didn't call back. Later that day, her sister Hannah texted me. Just one sentence. "She's back home. It's bad." Apparently, her father, who once called me financially predictable, had seen the screenshots. All of them, including the Slack chats, the PayPal note, and her plans to move in with Tyler after the wedding. He told her to move out. Emma had tried to crash at Hannah's place again, but Hannah refused. Said she was done covering for her. So Emma was staying with a college friend. No car, no job, no Tyler. And that was when I realized something. I had done nothing but tell the truth. No screaming, no fighting, no scorched earth. I had simply handed people her own words and let her collapse under them. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cinematic. It was slow, cold, quiet, and it worked. That week, I took a personal day from work. I drove an hour out of town to a little hiking trail we used to visit when things were still good between us. I brought my old journal and a pen, and I wrote one final entry about Emma. Not about the cheating, not about the wedding, just a list of the things I knew now. That silence is more powerful than shouting. That evidence speaks louder than emotion. And that some people don't want love, they want leverage. At the bottom, I wrote, "Thank you for showing me your exit. I'll take it from here." Then I closed the book and walked the trail. Alone, peacefully. For the first time in months, I felt light again. 3 weeks passed without a single word from Emma. Then, on a Tuesday night, while I was ordering dinner, another unknown number popped up on my screen. I ignored the call, like I had with the others. A minute later, a text came through. "I know you'll probably never talk to me again, but I just wanted to say, I never thought you'd be the one to walk away first." No apology, just that. Like her biggest shock wasn't getting caught, it was realizing I could leave without making noise. I stared at the message for a long time, not because I didn't know how to respond, but because I finally realized I didn't feel anything. Not sadness, not anger, not the urge to lash out. Nothing. So I deleted the message. No reply. No closure offered. No closure owed. That same week, I got a letter from the wedding venue, an official confirmation of my cancellation. Inside the envelope, they included something I hadn't expected, our original printed wedding program. Both our names in elegant script. Zachary plus Emma across the top. The date we'd planned. The ceremony details. A quote she picked on the back. "Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same." I smiled. Just a little. Then I fed the program into the shredder. Not out of spite. Out of relief. Because we weren't made of the same thing. Not even close. A month later, I moved into a new place across town. Smaller. Simpler. But clean. Mine. No more shared closets. No hidden folders on the laptop. No questions lingering behind every "I love you." I adopted a dog from a rescue shelter. Her name's Luna. She snores when she sleeps, refuses to eat carrots, and follows me from room to room like I'm the only thing that makes sense in the world. We go on long walks now. Every night. No headphones. Just silence. And peace. Real peace. One evening, I passed by a bar where Tyler's band used to be listed on the chalkboard. His name wasn't there anymore. Maybe he moved on. Maybe he left. Or maybe, like Emma, he just vanished when the spotlight faded. I'll never know. I don't need to. Sometimes, people ask why I didn't post about any of this publicly. Why I didn't burn it all down louder, messier, the way betrayal stories are supposed to end. And the truth is, silence is louder when it's earned. I didn't ruin her. She handed me the pieces. I just set them down and walked away. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.